Yes, absolutely. You just pointed it out. Leadership, when you get in a position of hierarchy, and it gets more significant the higher up you go, is a very lonely thing.
Hmm.
Because ultimately, the more authority or influence you have, everybody around you doesn't necessarily come to you with the opinion they truly have. They want to try and stay in your good graces. So
Yeah.
I'm not implying they're lying because I don't know that they are, but I do think that they're thinking tactically about their career path and how they want to succeed, and they're going to be hesitant to give you the information you really need.
Hmm.
And so my experience is, I went to a conference in Miami in early September, which was women leadership oriented, and talked to some of the leaders there. And I just got the Gratitude Summit this weekend with global women speakers, which I love doing and working with them. And all the people at the highest levels have these coaches. And the
Hmm.
common denominator when I worked with executives, when I was at Regal, we had 16 senior executives or officers of the company in totality. All of them worked with us as far as from a coaching perspective, but had people they looked upon. Sometimes it was spiritually related, which is great that was an element of what they have there. And every person needs to decide what component that plays in their life or if it does. And all that's fine, right? That's part of feeling confident and feeling self-actualized.
Hmm.
But that coaching is the common denominator between people who succeed and people who flail. That you
Hmm.
have to have that coaching around you. If you've got a significant other in a relationship, sometimes it's your significant other. They'll tell you, that doesn't sound like a good idea or whatever. And suddenly you'll pause for a moment. I need to think that through then. That
Hmm.
all of that's part of the coaching process. But having someone who's skilled and qualified to be a coach is a huge leg up. And sometimes it's the distinction between an organization succeeding or failing. When you look at the common denominator between companies which typically fail, I just talked about it, recently on my website. I've got
Hmm.
some research there that I identify 70% of leaders believe their failures in business are due to poor leadership. And
Hmm.
that
That's true.
that's a component, and it makes sense, right? That's
Yep.
one of these things that is true. You don't have to have research for everything. I don't have any research that says called Monday, but it's true, right? Sometimes common sense needs to still mean
Hmm.
something in this world. And my experience is the higher up they go, and this is also true of a lot of stars. If you go see a Hollywood star, I've had a chance to meet a ton of people, The Rock, Tom Cruise, name anybody in Hollywood, Will Ferrell. There's a good chance that I've met him at some point or another through the various functions. They've always got people around him who are part of that team. But the best ones have people on that team who are going to tell them what they need to hear for them
Mm.
to be able to improve their performance. And that's where they have an entourage of sorts. If you watch the one of the shows on
Yeah.
TV,
Yeah.
that's the sort of thing you need around you to be able to think it through, because nobody can do this by themselves, and the higher up you have an authority, the more lonely it's going to get. So you need to have a place, and maybe it's outside your organization. It
Hmm.
probably is, or you can go in for a checkup occasionally. We have doctors for health. Coaches or trainers are really doctors for life, and they can help you succeed properly utilized. So you should think about that and leverage that to enable you to be as successful as your potential allows.
Wow.